Well, you might know there's snow in Minnesota now. I've been out there moving a little bit, come back in, and I hear Morning Joe talking about this thing about defunding police. And he's talking to Democrats. Don't they understand how important it is that we have police to keep things safe in the communities, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? And that the conversation that goes about defunding doesn't make sense. Oh, then he said, well, he respect that the Republicans are talking about defunding the FBI. I guess he's just saying how ignorant all of this stuff kind of seems. But it does sound ignorant to a certain degree. When people spend the kinds of time saying that if you defund the police, then the criminals are going to be here, the criminals are going to be there, and you're not going to have the protection that you need. And people are really saying, we're not trying to say defund the police. I guess they make their own arguments. I'm not going to try to make it for them. I'm just saying what we already know, what people are saying about defunding police. But my argument has nothing to do with that. My argument is this: if you're concerned about defunding the police, if you're concerned about protecting police, either way, if you're concerned, then why aren't you concerned about that which causes a need for police? That which causes a need for police is handed down from a system that leaves people all kinds of doors open to commit crime, because the fact that they need legitimate daily indulgences have been denied them by a system that the people collectively under democracy or their democratic process have said that it's okay. So you leave people to live in poverty. You leave people to have to do things that are actually despicable. They have to sneak and try to do it. And then when they do it, sometimes they get lost and carried away. And then for a moment, it might be one thing, but after a while, it just becomes common. So criminality just becoming a constant stuff. You can't build enough jails to fill them up. We got them, what? They say we got more people in prisons than any country in the world. And we're supposed to be the best country, the country that offers opportunity. Well, these guys that are in jail, most of them are saying, where was the opportunity? The opportunity that you gave me was to commit crime. What was the opportunity for me to get the adequate education? What was, even from the cradle, what was that opportunity to help me progress and feel good about myself, knowing that opportunity exists? Where was that? It wasn't there. And now when the effects of your negligence, because I'm a different color, because I'm a different gender, because I carry myself in different sexual persuasions, you're going to say I'm nothing, and you treat me like I'm nothing, and then I have to act like if I'm anything, I got to do all of these things to survive. And people come out and say, well, why don't we address some of these issues? Take some of that money that you're giving to police who now have just felt free to just kill certain people. Why don't you take some of that money and let's do some stuff to address some of the issues in the community, which in itself would be just a small, minute thing. We need to make big, major changes, major social, economic changes in our order, in our system. We should be designed. Oh, let me just say this while I was going to make another statement, but I think I'll just say this now. Tomorrow, Donald Trump says he's going to announce whether he's going to run for president or not. Back years ago, when Donald Trump said he was going to run for president, I said that I would spend each day that he was president of the United States telling you about the evilness of this man. I think I did it. Yes, I think I did it. Now, if he comes back and run again, I'm going to give you an opportunity to do something that you once had and you ignored. In the, I believe, 80s, you had an opportunity to receive a person who had inspiration from the divine about how you could polish your system up that would give you the greatest life you can imagine. He talked about housing for everybody. He talked about food, clothing, shelter for everybody. Talked about access to education. I mean, not just talk, he had a plan. Brought with him a plan. Talked about access to health care from the womb to the tomb. And in all of these areas, be able to concentrate your efforts to make sure that whatever you produce, it is the best that it can possibly be. And so that you wouldn't be robbed. Everybody that could possibly benefit from these, just mentioned, would have a process that allows them to engage themselves with their particular talents to cause a manifestation in abundance so that no one would have to be denied any of these benefits. and allowing you to live in peace and be prosperous and freedom and joy. That came to you in the 80s. Nobody told you about it. The media didn't tell you about it. The churches wouldn't, the one that heard it wouldn't tell you about it. They talked about the Johnson thing. And the ones who got the flyers and the little information that was posted in the newspapers about to the editor, they never told you anything about it. Why? Because it was not popular. God's way of life is not popular. And so you just totally disregard it. Each year for having a general election for president, I would kind of enter myself in, trying to do a write-in, just to see if you had any close understanding of God, but you never did. And so the time came around when Donald Trump came on the scene, and he offered you everything that God told you was basically wrong. And you said that God sent him to prove that what the lies and all that stuff that he was talking, all the stuff that we were taught that were evil, God sent him to prove to us that that was what's right and not what we had been taught. Loving each other was not right. Beating each other up, talking about each other, downgrading each other is the proper thing. That's what Donald Trump was talking about, and that's what his people were advocating. Somebody being on top, the one who was the most rugged, the one who was most willing to kill. That's why they wanted those guns, to keep those guns, because they're the ones that's most willing to kill, to keep what they got. To keep what they got. This is their force. This is the basic fundamental evil that drives them is hatred. Hatred. That's what it is hatred and a lack of understanding of God. And so what I'm saying to you is that he's going to present himself back on the scene again, and I'm sure it's going to be worse than what he has been before. Now we have all got a chance to live in seeing this guy, how he operates. And now he wants to come back, and there are others who are going to talk about some stuff. They're going to keep things like normal. I want to ask you, ladies and gentlemen, this is an opportunity for you to make a choice. What do you want? Do you want to stick on over there with that evil stuff that Trump brought to us? I mean, well, he didn't really bring it. He just made it so obvious. Or do you want to go back to the old stuff that is not as obvious as Trump's, but it's leading right down that same path? Or have you grown up to the extent that spiritually you have awakened and you can make a choice for yourself and that you would want to get onto God's bandwagon? It doesn't require that much. Just as you respect God, that invisible God that is responsible for all things that exist. And that you show that respect by respecting everything that God has created, using it for what it was created for, and loving people as they themselves want to be loved by God, and you as well. It's very simple. Very simple. You don't need money. You don't need to go into debt. You don't have richest men in the world who give somebody $100 million to donate to somebody else that they love. You think that's some kindness? You've robbed people, and you got this money amassed sitting around doing nothing, while people don't have jobs, while people are homeless. And you sit there talking, thinking you doing something, and people say, "Whoa, he's a mighty dude. He's a mighty dude. Look how he cares. Look at the compassion. He can write that off on his next taxes." Nothing changed. Nothing changed. Just trying to build up the individual, not you. So I'm going to say to you, ladies and gentlemen, you can choose God's way. If Donald Trump mentions that he wants to run, I will tell you that I will offer God's way as I am today for 2024. God's way, making sure that every American is taken care of. And I guarantee you Trump can't do that. I guarantee you no Republican can do that. And I guarantee you God can't do it if you say no. And if you say no, you deserve exactly what people who don't know God or understand God will get until they do have a relationship with God. So I want to leave it there, ladies and gentlemen. I thought I'd say something because I was kind of talking about this thing with the Defund Police and these guys talking about put the money in the police. No, man, change your system. You don't need cops. Some people don't have cops with guns. They don't even have guns. They got a little whistle. What these guys got going on? They care more about one another than we. They don't go out killing each other, shooting each other just because they're, oh well. Let me stop for now. I'll talk to you later. Goodbye.